This is big breaking news. Trump has just issued multiple major warnings on live TV. He is warning other nations, and he is also warning the people of the United States of what is coming next. All right, so let's dive into the details. You guys can see here, this is an announcement Trump made from the Oval Office. Let's listen to this. There's multiple big announcements that I want to get to from Trump, but I thought this was one of the most significant ones. And this is a warning about what wars are potentially coming next. Let's listen to this.
Are you planning on also potentially launching strikes in Mexico or putting American troops or American personnel into Mexico to deal with it?
Would I launch strikes in Mexico to stop drugs? It's okay with me. Whatever we have to do to stop drugs. Mexico is, look, I looked at Mexico City over the weekend. There's some big problems over there. If we had to, would we do there what we've done to the waterways? You know, there's almost no drugs coming in through our waterways anymore. Isn't it down like 85%?
It is, sir. Absolutely.
I don't know who the 15% would be.
Yep.
It wouldn't be you.
No, that's for sure.
No, I think it's been,
Tons and tons of
you would say
drugs.
that's a big signal.
Absolutely.
We have almost no drugs coming into our country by the sea, by, the waterways. And you know why, okay? I mean, it's pretty obvious. Would I do that on the land corridors? I would absolutely. Look, every boat we knock out, we save 25,000 American lives. Not to mention the destruction of families. These families are decimated forever. The mother, the father, the children, they never recover really from it. When you lose somebody like the way they live, if you lose them, but the way they die is horrible.
All right, so you heard that there. First big announcement. We have multiple ones from Trump here. Okay, 3 different clips I want to get to. But he said that he even mentioned Mexico City during this clip, and he was saying that they would strike land-based smugglers. Okay, that is what he is now warning. It's all been international waters based, okay? And there's actually been 2 of these I saw the past week. 2 of these strikes, which it seems to be primarily done through drones. But Trump is now saying that these strikes are going to take place on land corridors. And he even brought up Mexico City, how bad it was there. So he's warning Mexico too that he might hit inside of Mexico, hit these certain groups. And if you guys didn't see, we're going to get to these other 2 clips too, all right? 2 different ones from Trump. But if you guys didn't see also what's going on in Mexico right now, these massive protests and these riots are going on. People are attacking the presidential building where the president of Mexico is staying, Sheinbaum, and people are upset because she is heavily connected to these criminal groups, okay? So she is kind of like a cartel president, and that's the reason why she's won. There were over 100 different people running for different offices over the past year that have been taken out by these gangs and groups, all right? And she wasn't. And she walks around in public with very low security detail, okay? Because she knows that she is protected by these criminal groups. So other politicians are getting taken out left and right. But she walks around out in the open. Just last week, some guy ran up to her and was like being inappropriate with her and touching her and stuff. But she feels comfortable enough to be out in the open because she knows these gangs, though, aren't going to get her, right? Maybe some random person might, harass her a little bit, but she knows these groups are not just out to get her. And I think what set off these riots and these protests over the past week, or last week primarily over the weekend is when this was happening, is because a mayor in Mexico who has been very outspoken against these cartel-linked groups and their political power. He was just taken out too, just last week, and then these protests broke out because the president's not doing anything. The president is just protecting these people because they're protecting her. And it's crazy. This is our southern neighbor to the United States. It shouldn't be like this. It shouldn't be like this in any country, but just to have it so close is unacceptable, right? And I think Trump is putting the pressure on the Mexican president as well, too. So there's pressure on Venezuela. There's pressure on Colombia right now. Pressure on Mexico. Okay, a lot of these key players, especially these smuggling states that kind of are state facilitated, are getting pressure put on them by Trump. And something else that's also happening with these Mexico riots is that Trump has shut down the border. So a lot of these people that were going northward to, get out of their situation or whatever they want to do, a lot of them are getting stuck in Mexico now. And a lot of these people are, they're agitated. And they're contributing to the unrest as well, too. So, very volatile, dangerous situation in Mexico right now. And I think the timing of this, that's why Trump's saying this, because he's putting pressure on the Mexican government to say, look, get this stuff under control, or we're gonna move the military in and do land strikes as well. And even nonchalantly brought up Mexico City just to say, hey, things could happen anywhere. So I think he's putting maximum pressure on Mexico and Venezuela right now. And we'll get to those clips in just a second, but look at this too. Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, designated Cartel de los Solis as a foreign terrorist organization. This, they're saying, is headed by the illegitimate Nicolas Maduro. The group has corrupted the institutions of government in Venezuela and is responsible for terrorist violence conducted by and with other designated FTOs, as well as trafficking these substances into the United States and Europe. Okay, so I think the timing of all these things are coming together. Designating Maduro and this organization they're saying he's the head of as a terror organization gives them a lot more leeway to perform any strikes inside of Venezuela as well too. So if you can bet that Trump is saying, he was saying absolutely he would consider strikes inside of Mexico, then he's definitely considering strikes inside of Venezuela. Let's listen to this clip really quick on Trump and what he was saying about Venezuela.
You suggested you've made a decision about what you want to do next about Venezuela. I understand you don't want to tip your hand, but is there anything you're ready to rule out at this point? Are you ruling out U.S. troops on the ground?
No, I don't rule out that. I don't rule out anything. We just have to take care of Venezuela. They dumped hundreds of thousands of people into our country from prisons. Nobody knows better than this young lady right here. She's done an incredible job with Tom Homan and all of your people. It's amazing. We have a tight border right now. Nobody comes in. But we had millions of people pouring through. A year ago, we had millions of people pouring through our border. And many of them came from Venezuela, including Tren de Aragua, the gang. And I guess what I'm hearing, Christy, is that's as bad a gang as there is anywhere in the world.
It's the worst. Absolutely, absolutely, they are the worst.
I mean, they're worse than MS-13.
They're killers. They massacre people. They cut them up into pieces and they bury them in their communities where they grew up. They're horrible people.
Now, we had a lot of them, and many of them, most of them, pretty soon, most of them are going to be out. But they sent them in like we're a dumping ground. So I'm not in love with the people running Venezuela. I love Venezuela. I love the people of Venezuela. But what they've done to this country, and I really say this, what Biden and the Democrats have done to this country can never, ever be forgotten.
All right, so you heard that there. Trump is saying boots on the ground are even a possibility for Venezuela. Okay, so he's not ruling anything out. He wants to put maximum pressure on these countries right now. And he has a good point. Okay, these things are being flooded into the country. People are dying. Have you seen Portland? Have you seen parts of Philadelphia where they're calling people zombies? Okay, where they're just like hunched over. It'll be dozens of people on a block that are literally just hunched over from the waist down. Still standing up, but from the waist down, like folded in half. And standing there for hours and hours. Alright, and these people are wasting away. I just saw a guy earlier. And I feel bad, but it needs to stop. This cheap stuff's being flooded into our country. So everyone that wants it can get a hold of it. And it's flooding our cities, it's flooding big cities, it's flooding small cities, it's flooding rural communities. I just saw a guy earlier just walking around, and he's just like tweaking out and, you know, twitching around and all this crazy stuff, doing crazy stuff with his face. Okay, clearly on something. And it's this stuff that's coming into our country, right? It's destroying communities, destroys people's lives, and it's a biological weapon essentially that is being released into our country and robbing people of their entire lives. They get hooked on this stuff, and then they really can't get out of it, most people. Okay, unless they are just forced to stop, unless the supply is just completely cut off and there's just no other, and they're gonna have to go through withdrawals. That's a whole nother issue. But when it's just easy and it's available and it's right there, and a lot of these states, they give out free needles, they give out free syringes, free just all this stuff to just facilitate it, you know? And it's really sad. It's really sad what's going on in our country and our cities, rural communities. It's hitting everywhere. It's hitting everywhere. I've seen stories, rural Montana flooded with this stuff, people dying, people's, you know, brothers and sons and stuff, daughters hooked on this stuff, just life destroyed, or they're just gone. Okay, so it's serious enough we need to stop it. Right, we need to stop the flow of this stuff into our country. It's a national security issue, and it directly affects our country. We use our military for stuff all over the world, but then when our country is being flooded, then we don't do anything. Right, we just let it happen. And these people are making billions of dollars too, and then they grow their enterprises and produce even more, and flood even more, become armed, get technology, weaponry, all these things with the money they get. And that's why they're able to put so much pressure on these states like Mexico, okay? Because some of these gangs literally have weapons to match the Mexican government and military, okay? And I saw, I think it was like the Palantir CEO or something, which not like I'm a fan or anything, but I saw this clip and I did agree with what he was saying, where he was saying, you know, if there were 50,000, 100,000, it's like over 100,000 people per year dying from this stuff. If there were 50,000, 100,000 Harvard grads that were dying every year from this stuff, he was saying we would nuke the country. We would nuke them if they were killing this many people in our country. But when it's just random people, it's spread out, you know, people just kind of on the edges of society, nobody's really looking for them, nobody's really paying attention to a lot of these people, then it just happens, and it's just a slow motion death for a lot of them. It's sad. But he did make a good point there. It's true. We would nuke these countries. We would absolutely invade them. 100,000 people a year were dying. Okay, that's like a giant war. But nothing's happened for decades at this point. So, let me know what you guys think. Let's listen to this one last clip from Trump really quick. He was issuing a warning. Let's listen to this really quick.
Hundreds of thousands of people to drugs. So now we've stopped the waterways, but we know every route. We know every route. We know the addresses of every drug lord. We know their address. We know their front door. We know everything about every one of them. They're killing our people. That's like a war. Would I do it? I'd be proud to. I'd probably go into Congress and say, hey, and you know what? The Democrats and the Republicans would both agree, unless they're crazy. And they are a little crazy on the Democrat side. We're losing hundreds of thousands of people.
All right, so that's Trump kind of saying what I was saying. I mean, I saw this clip earlier. I've been thinking this, and he's confirming it. All right, that this is kind of like a war. 100,000 people per year passing away from this stuff, and it's just unacceptable, and it's been allowed to happen for some reason. Nobody stopped it. Everything was just wide open for the past 4 years under the previous administration. All right, so let me know what you guys think down below. Hope you guys are staying safe, staying prepared, staying stocked up, staying ready. I hope you have big blessings for your life and your family, and I hope you have a big old blessed day.